Anthony reached out to Elon Musk because he had a prior relationship with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk was the person who first contacted Anthony about the donation, about a donation from Amber.
And wasn't Mr. Romero specifically asking him about Mr. Depp's donation of $100,000?
That's how I read this email, yes.
And if you look down, just below that, the email from Mr. Villagra to Mark Weir, and he says, got it, we will hold the check. That's a reference to the ACLU's holding the check from Johnny Depp, correct?
That's how I read this.
Okay, so now moving back up to that email from Mr. Weiler to Mr. Villagra, copied to Mimi Clara, he says, we're going to draft an email from Anthony to Amber explaining the situation and asking for her advice. What does he mean there?
I take that to mean that we wanted to hear from Amber regarding whether this gift was attributable to the amounts that she wanted to contribute to the ACLU.
Did the ACLU in fact reach out to Ms. Heard about Mr. Depp's $100,000 donation?
Yes, there are documents that we produced that show a back and forth on that point between Anthony and Ms. Heard.
And Mr. Weiler, or Mr. Weir writes, I'll keep you in the loop, but definitely hold the check until we get clearance from Amber. Why would the ACLU need clearance from Amber Heard before it accepted a $100,000 donation from Johnny Depp?
My understanding of this is that we wanted to know whether this, before we cashed this check, whether it was in relation to the Amber Heard desire to contribute to the ACLU as opposed to a separate desire by Johnny Depp to contribute to us individually. And in fact, the communication from Johnny Depp's representative said that it was in connection with Amber Heard, so we wanted to clarify what was going on.
So moving to the email directly above that from Hector Villagra to Mark Weir, he says, we have more folks than I knew who followed TMZ. Here's their latest report. Amber Heard calls BS on Johnny's charity donation. Now you owe double. What's that a reference to?
I don't really know specifically, other than to say that this is more indication that we were unclear of whether the Johnny Depp gift would count toward the amounts that Amber said she wanted to contribute to the ACLU.
And then directing your attention to the top email in Exhibit 10, Mr. Weir responds, she's calling Johnny out on the $14 million in the press. What does that refer to?
I don't know. I'm not aware of how 14 million plays into any of this.
Okay, let's move ahead to Exhibit 12, please. Mr. Doherty, have you ever seen this document before?
Just making it larger. Yes, I have.
And what is it?
This is Amber confirming that we can cash Mr. Depp's check.
And did Ms. Heard, in fact, send this to Mr. Romero on or about October 17th, 2016?
Yes.
And is this a document that was created in the was maintained in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Depp's paying for it too, for the donation thing? Is that what that is?
And it's true that the ACLU ultimately deposited Mr. Depp's check for $100,000, correct?
Correct.
Did the ACLU credit the $100,000 paid by Mr. Depp toward Ms. Heard's $3.5 million pledge or donation?
We do credit that $100,000 amount toward the toward Amber Heard's charitable giving to the ACLU.
Where, if at all, is that credit reflected in the ACLU's records?
There are documents that we produced that show the fact that this was considered part of Amber Heard's charitable giving to the ACLU.
After the ACLU received Ms. Heard's initial $350,000 payment, it received press inquiries about the Heard donation, correct?
Correct.
How many?
Oh, I don't know the specific number, sorry.
Was this document, Exhibit 20, maintained in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Was it prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business contemporaneously by people having knowledge of the contents?
Yes.
On what date was Ms. Heard appointed an ACLU ambassador?
It was in October of 2018.
Okay, let's move ahead, please, to Exhibit 22. Did the ACLU ever issue a press release regarding the Vanguard $500,000 contribution?
I don't believe we ever issued a press release in 2017 regarding Amber Heard's donations to the ACLU.
Why not?
We received an email from Amber that is in the documents that says that we don't need to do this. We shouldn't do this this press release.
Let's go to 24, please.
Stand by.
He was trying to pay. Cliff and Patty says she said she would donate. He was trying to pay ACLU to not give it to Amber Heard. He didn't like that.
Mr. Doherty, have you ever seen this document, Exhibit 24, before?
Yes.
What is it?
This is Anthony in his email to the one we just saw said that his comms people were going to be reaching out to Amber's people. And so Steve then starts that process, and Amber then Amber responds and says that she's no longer working with Pierce and introduces Steve to her new lawyer, Eric George. And she indicates that she has a concern about issuing a press statement.
Is this document maintained in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Was it prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
And was it prepared contemporaneously by people having knowledge of its contents?
Yes.
I'd like to direct your attention to the email at the top of the page. You see the email at the top of the page from Ms. Heard to Jody Gottlieb and others, dated July 6, 2017?
I do.
Have you ever seen this document before?
Yes.
What is it?
This is Amber letting Steve know that she's no longer working with Pierce, but instead working with a new lawyer, and indicating to Steve that she is going to be talking with her PR team about whether, about issuing a press statement about her 2017, issuing a press statement about her 2017 gift.
And directing your attention, she writes, their concern is that the press could potentially spin the fact that this is an installment and not the entire lump sum, as you well know, isn't possible due to the structure of the settlement agreement. The settlement agreement is a reference to the settlement agreement between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard of their divorce, correct?
I read that to reference to the settlement agreement to be the settlement agreement between Heard and Depp, but I don't have any independent knowledge of that.
What was the basis of your belief that she was going to pay you every year?
The original communications and her response to us when we reached out to her, and she indicated, on a number of occasions that this was something that she was going to be looking into.
But she didn't do it, did she?
What we did receive was the $500,000 Vanguard charitable contribution, and then the next year, the $350,000 contribution.
She didn't pay you on an annual basis, did she?
Yes, we didn't receive any amounts in 2019 and on.
Let's move up to the middle email on the page. Mr. Weir to Steve Smith. Thanks, Steve. Her gift is technically unrestricted, but it is weighted towards women's rights issues. What does that mean?
What that means is that there's a particular type of gift that is legally restricted for a specific purpose, and that could be the restriction could be done in a number of ways. That was not done in this situation, but nonetheless, the intention in making gifts to the ACLU was to support that work. So there's that subtle distinction, and this is not an uncommon one at the ACLU.
After the Vanguard payment of $500,000 in July 2017, what, if any, payments did Ms. Heard make to the ACLU?
There was one more payment of $350,000 that came from Fidelity Charitable. So it looked to be from a donor-advised fund at Fidelity.
And when was that donor-advised Fidelity payment made?
In 2018.
So
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, we have a document that we produced that shows the contributions that we've received from Fidelity Charitable and the timing for each of those. One of which includes includes the Amber Heard 350.
Okay, if we could please move to Exhibit 39. I'm showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 39. Have you ever seen this document before?
Hold on, can we get the bait stamp number, please?
It is 3037 ACLU.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm directing your attention to the penultimate entry on that page.
Yes,
There appears to be a reference. Well, first of all, have you ever seen this document before?
I have.
And what is it?
This is a document that we created that lists the contributions made to the ACLU on a specific date, December 11, 2018, that came from the online at Fidelity charitable account.
And is this document maintained in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
The information in this is maintained in the ordinary course of this business. We created this document in response to the discovery requests.
And does it truthfully and accurately reflect the donations made to the ACLU online on or about December 11th, 2018?
I believe that it does. It is a document that I believe our development department pulled information from Salesforce, our current CRM, into an Excel, and that's what this is.
So directing your attention to the penultimate entry on this page said $350,000 designation, donation from Amber Heard.
Mm-hmm.
What does that refer to?
What that refers to is that since the giving account are the names of the Fidelity Charitable Donor Advised Funds, which is the column in the right, this one is designated as anonymous, meaning that the person who set up the donor advised fund, in this case, I believe Amber, wanted it to be an anonymous donor advised fund, so that it would be within her discretion to decide which gifts were that she recommended were her recommendations or not. And so we put into this special purpose category. We marked that this was a donation from Amber Heard, meaning a recommendation from her to make a contribution from her donor advised fund.
So this is an anonymous donation for someone in Amber Heard's name, correct?
It is anonymous to when this donor advised fund was set up, it was determined that it would be that the gifts would presumptively be anonymous unless she were to recommend to state otherwise.
And did she ever state otherwise?
We believe that this was that she indicated that this was her $350,000 gift, and that's why we put into the column that this was a donation recommended by her from her donor advised fund.
The money did not come from her, correct?
The money went from her to her donor advised fund, and then she recommended that the funds be paid from Fidelity to us. So the amount that $350 we received did not come from her directly. It came from what we believe to be her donor advised fund at Fidelity that she set up.
What basis, other than Ms. Heard's telling you, does the ACLU have for the proposition that Ms. Heard paid the money to Fidelity before it came and was given to the ACLU?
What we have is what she told us, which is how donor advised funds that are anonymous work. The only thing that we legally needed to know was that this came from the Fidelity charitable, and that's the kind of reporting that we would do on this. For example, if we were reporting on this gift in our tax filings or anything like that, we then, our donors who have donor advised funds, they then let us know that they made that recommendation, and we then credit it to them as being associated with their giving to us in our CRM.
Well, Mr. Doherty, I didn't ask you what the ACLU was legally required to do. I asked you what, if anything, the ACLU did to investigate whether, in fact, Ms. Heard provided the funds to Fidelity. And your answer is nothing, right?
Go ahead.
I don't believe there was anything else. I don't know what else we would have gotten.
So, just so the record is clear, the ACLU relied only on Ms. Heard, that she was the ultimate source of the Fidelity funds, correct?
Yes.
Because you've already testified that Ms. Heard was not the original source of the funds for the $500,000 Vanguard contribution, correct?
We received that $500,000 from Vanguard. They're a 501c3, not from any other person.
Right, but Vanguard was associated with Mr. Musk, true?
We believe that to be the case, yes.
Okay. So after this December 2018 donation, has Ms. Heard made any donations directly or indirectly to the ACLU?
No, those are the four contributions, the four that we've discussed.
Well, we're almost 3 years since her last contribution. What, if any, efforts has the ACLU made to get Amber Heard to pay?
We reached out to Ms. Heard. We reached out to Ms. Heard starting in 2019 for the next installment of her giving, and we learned that she was having financial difficulties.
Well, let's unpack that. So when in 2019 did the ACLU reach out to Ms. Heard about making her promised contributions?
I don't recall the date, but there is a document that we produced that was an email from Anthony to Amber about this in 2019.
Okay, let's move ahead to Exhibit 67, please. Have you seen these documents, these attachments before?
Yes, I've seen these.
Okay, and we'll just go through them one by one if you don't mind.
Sure.
If you look at Bates number 4673, it says $350,000, December 11th, 2018. What is that?
I believe this is this tracks with the Excel spreadsheet that we looked at just a few moments ago that talks about online giving through the Fidelity Charitable Fund. And whereas the prior one listed all of the December 11th, 2018 gifts, this one lists the $350,000 gift from from the Amber's donor advised fund.
Moving to the next page, it says designation donor from Amber Heard. Do you see that?
Yes.
What does designation mean?
So this was the column in Salesforce that allows us to include additional information about gifts, in particular whether they are restricted in a certain way. And so that's why the term designation is used. And here, I think we filled into that designation field the information that we knew to be the case, which was that this was a recommendation from Amber Heard's donor advised fund.
Okay, now if you move to the next page, 4675, there's just one word on that, and it's anonymous. Do you know what that means?
This corresponds to the column of that same spreadsheet that listed the names of the donor advised funds that individuals set up at Fidelity, and that the name of the Amber one was anonymous.
Now, when Ms. Heard made her direct payment, her first contribution of $350,000, that was not designated as anonymous, wasn't it? Was it?
That was not a gift from a donor advised fund, so there weren't those columns for us to fill out. It was just a gift to the ACLU. And I do believe that in Anthony's acknowledgement letter to that included the pledge form that wasn't signed, he included a question about anonymity and whether we could list her as a donor in our annual report. So that was our first connection with her. So, we weren't sure whether her giving would be anonymous or not.
Well, the first donation wasn't anonymous, correct?
No, because it was not anonymous. But what I'm saying here is that this is the name. I believe this is the name of her donor advised fund at Fidelity. And the first time she gave us a gift, I think it came right out of her own, banking accounts.
Right. And between the time Ms. Heard made her first donation of $350,000 directly, which is attributed directly to her, and the time this anonymous donation comes in, did anybody at the ACLU have any discussion with Ms. Heard as to whether she wanted anonymity?
I don't believe she did.
Okay, if you could move ahead, please, to
I'm trying to understand all this
page
stuff.
number.
I'm reading about it.
4678.
So we can talk about it during the break. If somebody wants to call in too during
Yes.
the break, that
Have
knows
you
the whole
ever
thing.
seen this document before?
It's shady
Yes.
though.
What is it?
Shady.
This is the document that Vanguard Charitable, so Vanguard's 501c3 nonprofit, uses when someone makes a recommendation from a Vanguard Charitable Donor Advised Fund to give an amount to a charity. And they then send this letter saying that they, Vanguard, are giving this amount to the charity. And it describes whether, this is the document that would describe whether or not the donor wants to be anonymous or even wants to indicate to us who they are.
And this is the Vanguard contribution about which you testified earlier, correct?
Correct.
Let's move ahead, please, to 4679, which is the next page.
Yes.
And Amber is a brand. She was a
And
brand
have you ever
ambassador
seen this
for
document
ACLU.
before?
Because
I
I'm looking
have.
at some of this stuff.
And
It's
this
shady.
is one of the documents that you reviewed in the context of preparing for this deposition.
But I'm confused a bit too,
Yes.
And directing your attention to the middle of the page, it says remark from Amber Heard. What does that signify?
This, I'm sorry, I'm counting the 3 seconds. This is a record of a wire into our accounts at JP Morgan Chase in the amount of $350,000 from Amber Heard's account.
This is interesting. We're gonna
And
talk
this
about
was-
it.
City National Bank.
And this was her first contribution, correct?
Yes, this is the 2016 August contribution.
Okay, and if you could move ahead, please, to the next page, ACLU 4680. Have you ever seen this document before?
I have.
What is it?
This is the original email from Elon to Amber and Anthony describing her plan to donate to the ACLU over the next 10 years and her support for our work, and that she wasn't restricting the gift. She just had a preference about the use of the funds, and that Anthony would forward her the wiring instructions, and then he did so, and then the $350,000 was wired, as we saw in that last JP Morgan Chase ACLU bank account wire record. And so Anthony let Amber know that we received it.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit. So the email in the middle of the page was an email sent to Mr. Romero from Elon Musk on or about August 18th, 2016 at 1:14 p.m., correct?
Correct.
And he says, Amber, I described your plan to donate $3.5 million to the ACLU over the next 10 years, as you very much believe in what they are doing. You see that?
Yes.
Why was Ms. Heard, or strike that, why was Mr. Musk representing this on behalf of Ms. Heard?
I don't know the answer to that question, but assume it's because of Elon's prior relationship with Anthony and that he indicated, I will make that introduction for you.
He is representing that Ms. Heard's plan was to donate $3.5 million over the next 10 years. Is that correct?
Correct, that was her plan.
Did Ms. Heard ever say in words or substance that Mr. Musk was not correct and that wasn't her plan?
I do not believe she ever said that.
So she never refuted Mr. Musk's representation that she was going to pay the full $3.5 million, correct?
It isn't the case that she didn't object to that she was going to pay the 3.5. It's just that she didn't object that was her plan as of August 18th, 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Doherty. Let's move to the next page, which is 4681.
Excuse me.
Yes.
And you see at the top it says Salesforce screenshot. Would you remind us, please, what Salesforce is?
It's our current CRM, our constituent record management system, which is where we store all the information we have about our donors. We call it our donor database.
So she moved on to
And
Elon for the
I
rest
believe
of the payments?
that we've seen a version of this in an email from Mr. Moresco, correct?
I do recall that this this is part of documents that we produced.
Okay, well, let's start from the bottom up.
Sure.
If you look at the bottom entry in the column, it had the entry that has a close date 8/19/2016, completed $350,000. What does that mean?
That's a record of her $350,000 contribution to us.
And you see the designation, the giving name pledge payment.
I do.
What does that refer to?
That this was in connection with her overall plan to make a contribution to us of $3.5 million.
Okay, now let's move up to the entry in the middle of the chart. It says Ms. Amber Heard's soft credit 2017, close date June 12, 2017, completed $500,000. What does that mean?
That's the record of the Vanguard charitable contribution in 2017.
Why does it say soft credit instead of pledge payment?
Because it didn't come directly from Amber. It came from the Vanguard Charitable Trust, Charitable Fund. And we wanted to continue to associate it, though, with Amber in our donor database.
Is it customary for the ACLU to make distinctions between hard donations, that is coming directly from the donor, and donations made by others in the donor's name?
It's extremely important for us to understand whether funds came directly to us from a donor, from a donor's donor-advised fund, or from another donor altogether. That's all very helpful information to us as we think through our fundraising program.
So, but my question was, is it common practice? And it sounds like it is common practice because you say it's important, correct?
Yeah, I believe it's a common practice.
Okay, and then let's look at the top entry in the chart.
Yes.
This is for the December 2018 payment, and I believe you testified this is the last payment Ms. Heard has made, correct?
Correct.
And it says Ms. Amber Heard donation 2018 payment. What does this signify?
This signifies this relates to the 2018 $350,000 gift that we got, which I believe came from Amber's donor advised fund at Fidelity.
Shady ass donations and shit. That's what the rich people do, huh? They got all these other corporations, organizations. You can't even tell who said what.
Looking at 4682.
Just throws you off and confusing as shit.
Purports to be an email from Liz Fitzgerald to Jonathan Moresco. Who is Liz Fitzgerald?
Liz Fitzgerald's then title was Director of Special Gifts, but her current title is the Director of Development. She's the number 2
titles too.
in
just
our
make up
development
titles
department. She reports directly to Mark Weir. And even then, as Director of Special Gifts, she reported directly to Mark Weir.
Okay. All right. And with respect to Exhibit 67, the attachments that we've described, were they created in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
The only one that I would not say was in our ordinary course of business is number 4681, in that this was created in connection with a discussion with Amber Heard's attorneys about Amber's donations to the ACLU.
But all of the other documents in this exhibit were created in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, correct?
Correct. And even this one came from our donor database, which is something that we keep in the ordinary course of our business.
And it's your testimony sitting here today that the information depicted on ACLU 4681 is accurate and reflects the accounting records kept in the ACLU's ordinary course of business, correct?
It is correct that we received the 350, the 500, and the 350, and that we associated them all in some way with Amber. It does not list the 100,000 Johnny Depp payment. And And yeah, and there's differing terms that are used in that. I'm not sure we would use the term soft credit. We might refer to another way now. After that 2017 gift, that's when we launched the new database system, the Salesforce system, and prior it had been the PIDI system. So we had been doing some changes to definitions about how we record gifts. But the basic, which is that these are all associated with Amber Heard, these 3 gifts, that is absolutely accurate.
Well, you raised a good point. Why isn't the $100,000 donated by Johnny Depp credited to Amber Heard?
I think it should have been recorded in our database because it's information that we would want to have in that database about gifts relating to our relationship with Amber Heard. And we now do consider that gift as part of the constellation of gifts that are attributed to our relationship with Amber Heard.
So that's how you would get from the 1.2 million to the 1.3 million, right?
Yes, 700 plus 1 is 800 plus 500 is 1.3. Correct.
So the ACLU sitting here today attributes $1.3 million toward Ms. Heard's $3.5 million pledge, correct?
Correct.
And of that $1.3 million, $100,000 was paid by Johnny Depp, true?
Correct.
So putting aside 4681, all of the emails prepared by ACLU employees in the course of their ordinary business?
Yeah, I'm just reminding myself. Well, I believe that 4679 was also downloaded from our records in relation to this litigation matter. I don't believe that we created this document and had it in a paper file somewhere, but I think we pulled this information, this wiring information. It may be the same wiring information that was looked at the time that the donation was made.
So Exhibit 67, it's fair to say, is comprised of ACLU business records kept and maintained in the ordinary course, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Excuse me, Your Honor. We're going to change topics with Mr. Daugherty. And
take our morning break.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Let's go ahead and take our 15-minute recess. Do not discuss the case with anybody. Don't do any outside research, and we'll see you then. Okay.
Yo, if you guys could hit like, I'd appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining me again for today. I don't know what else we got for today. This person, Terrence Daughtry, that was supposed to be from yesterday, but they didn't get to it. And that was on the list that I had yesterday. I haven't had a list for today. I mean, I do have a full list of Johnny's people. I don't know if they're gonna get through it all. And supposedly Amber's supposed to be allegedly, whatever, testifying next week. And I'm trying to get a little understanding, and I have some notes and stuff.
Come back and take a break.
I have an article here.
11:45.
The mod sent me. Sandy sent me this article too.
Alrighty. So here we are. Hold on, I was in the middle of doing something. Alright. So, sorry I was late today. Oh. Sorry I was late today. I was working on that video. Alright. Alright, Speaks, we'll pick this up after. So, how you guys doing today? Dude, what is up with my numbers? Oh my god. I feel like the biggest loser on YouTube. Has it been a great examination? Because I've been bored. I'm like, man, this is boring. So we need to go raid like Law and Crime and get some of their viewers. Because I don't know why nobody wants to watch it with me. I feel so upset. I feel like nobody wants to watch the trial with us. And we have like the best chat ever. Jeez. Other people have thousands. I have like not even 100. Can we put like a big L in my head for loser instead of Laura? Yeah, we need to do a room raid of Law and Crime. We can't touch Ikmal because I'm streaming his stream. I know you are, Sarah. People on Umbrella Guy were complaining about not getting notified. I don't know who Umbrella Guy is. All I know is that we need to do major room raid on Law and Crime, who gets like 200,000 people. You can't even like watch it. I mean, you can't even like look at chat. It's too much. So I don't know what happened before I popped on. The case is boring. It is getting boring. I agree. That's why I don't understand why they have like 300,000 people in there. I'm shocked. Absolutely shocked. So yesterday I went on camera and got less people. So today I decided I'm not going on camera. But I don't know if I'll be here for the afternoon. I have to get down Social Security and start that. Hey, Texas girl. And start that. Because everyone told me that if I start it now, even without a death certificate, then we'll get a payment, back payment or whatever. So I don't think I'll be here for the afternoon. But if it's as boring as it was yesterday, so I'm looking at, Ikmal had posted something from Amber that Amber said that she would donate $7 million of her divorce settlement from Johnny to charity. Give me a break. Umbrella Guy is great. He breaks down everything. Say AH trying to shut him down. It's been very interesting today. Is that his name, Umbrella Guy? See, you know what, Joy, though? People talk about breaking stuff down. I don't know what there is to break down. Like, this goes back to, I give everybody credit for being smart. I don't see what there is to break down. It's pretty obvious. You know what I'm saying, though? It's literally pretty obvious what's going on. Maybe I should just quit YouTube. That's how I feel lately. I don't know. I give people too much credit. And I figure that everyone understands it the way I understand it. And that things don't need to be broken down like that. I don't know. He gets court papers, look him up today. It was ACLU, was caught lying. I don't know. Yeah. I guess for me personally, stuff like that is just not, it's just not important. Like, I don't care enough to look up the ACLU and this lying and that lying. I just don't care enough. I know that's horrible. I know, Smokes. That's what I'm saying. My numbers are pathetic. No, you know why I think that I don't, why I'm not in the algorithm? Every time something like this happens, I have a strike. I have to fight the one against Law and Crime. I don't know why. I don't know why I haven't done it yet. It just hasn't been on the top of my priority list. But every time, like, something like this happens, I always have a strike. That's probably why I'm not in the algorithm. I am on when the trial starts. Just today I was working on that other video. So I got sidetracked. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just breaking stuff down, and like I'll break stuff down that I think people may not understand, like law terms and stuff like that. But Amber not donating to the ACLU, like who cares? That has nothing to do with anything. That's my problem. But that seriously is my problem. Because I don't care about that petty little bullshit. Never did. So I assume that nobody else cares either. And that's my fault. But off subject for a minute, I found a story today that was so mind-blowing out of Wisconsin. This 14-year-old boy, now, you know, everything Dayton's going through now, I think 14 years old. This 14-year-old boy raped and killed a 10-year-old girl out of Wisconsin. I forgot the place. Something with a C. And he literally killed her and then sexually assaulted her. Lily, yes. You know what I'm talking about. I was so blown away by the story. I thought I was going to puke. How does a 14-year-old kill a little girl and then sexually assault her after she's dead? OMG. No, they weren't. I don't think it was a relative. It was her Chippewa Falls. Thank you. It was her cousin. I didn't realize it was her cousin. The article that I was reading didn't show it was her cousin. Yeah, crazy. I just saw that this morning. Could not believe it. I was like, oh my God. 14 years old. It's her cousin. Unbelievable. I may look into that more. Lily Peters, thank you. He was a major risk beforehand. Oh, Gray covered it? Of course Gray covered it. Gray covers everything. It's crazy. It's so sad it was her cousin. So sad. He told police he wanted to break her. It was definitely premeditation. And the sad part is, what's going to happen to him? He can't die. He's just going to spend his life in jail. So sad, though. So, as you guys know, my head has not really been into anything lately. So, I'm sorry if, you know, that's 2 weeks old. I actually just found out about it today. So, I apologize if I'm a little late on it. But, yeah. Crazy. Like, how do you even do that? Why would you even want to do that? Yeah, they say that 2 of the charges that he's hit with will give him life in prison. But again, he's still a minor. He's still only 14. And it's just disgusting. It was yeah. I mean, I just saw the article today, but I'm just saying, like, wow. But 16 makes a little more sense than 14. Eric Smith is out. He's married and out of jail. Eric Smith is the redheaded child, right? Yeah, he's out. See, Candy, I'm so torn when it comes to kids' cases, for the reason being that on one hand, I'm a big advocate for a 14-year-old's mind doesn't comprehend things the way an adult would. Or that, you know, I believe that when a child does something, you know, there's reasons they do it. And a lot of it has to do with the parents and, you know, their upbringing. And so you can't hold a 14-year-old responsible like you would an adult. So that's one half of me. But then the other half of me is, to kill somebody, to kill your own cousin, and then sexually assault them after they're dead, that's a psychopath. And that's a case that in my opinion, deserves the death penalty. And if it was my kid, I may kill her, kill the guy. So I toss both sides. I don't know. I really look at both sides and be like, well, did he know what he was doing? 14-year-olds still know right from wrong. But when, this isn't like, let me see what it feels like to shoot someone. I remember when Dayton first started playing shooter games, he was very young. And he truly believed that you got 9 lives. He truly believed that if you shot somebody, well, it doesn't matter. They'll come back to life. So I think a lot of kids feel like that. I mean, it took me and Sage. Sage was like, no, Dayton, you shoot someone, they're dead. And they're never coming back. And it took me a little while to convince him and to make him understand that, no, when you shoot somebody, you shoot them. Like, they're dead. And it's not like a video game. They don't come back. And he finally understood it. Because Dayton would have been that kid that took a gun and shot his brother and sister. Just see if they come back. And I'm talking when he was really young, because that's what he thought you did. So in a situation like that, I don't think a kid should go to jail for life. But in a situation where, in this scenario, I think he should get the death penalty. Sorry. No, my son is definitely not an evil Satan incarnate. But you know what I'm saying, though? Like, there are kids that pick up a gun and shoot and actually kill someone. But they don't do that with the intent of killing the person. They do that for whatever reason. That's what I'm saying. Like, something like that, you have to teach your kid. But raping your cousin after you kill her, that's a psychopath. And to me, no matter what age you are, you would have done that anyway. So, all right, text, hold on. Evidently, his dad has some child porn charges, and they think maybe the dad did something to him. But that's possible. That's definitely possible. Yeah, the boy who killed this young girl was her cousin. Lily Peters was her name. Let me see. She was an adorable little girl. Hold on.
Lily Peters killing. Judge sets $1 million bond for 14-year-old suspect charged as adult and girl's shocking death. Wisconsin 10-year-old Lily Peters was sexually assaulted after a strangling death at the hands of a boy 4 years her senior earlier this week, prosecutors revealed in a harrowing bond hearing Wednesday afternoon. The 14-year-old suspect has been charged as an adult, prosecutors told Fox News Digital. Judge Benjamin Lane agreed to prosecutors' request to set bond at $1 million and ordered the defendant to avoid contact with minors, except his siblings, so long as such contact is supervised. Prosecutors identified the suspect through his initials and only as a 14-year-old boy and alleged that the 8th grader admitted to physically assaulting the child before strangling her to death and then sexually assaulting her. Protection of the community also is necessary in this case given his statements regarding his intentions and his statements regarding that when he did get off the trail, he punched the victim in the stomach, knocked her to the ground, essentially strangled her, hit her with a stick before strangling her to the point of death, before he then sexually assaulted her, Chippewa County District Attorney Wade Newell told the judge at the bond hearing. Attorneys for the teen suspect requested $100,000 cash bond, arguing he is not a flight risk due to him being too young to drive. The suspect was being held in a juvenile detention facility and appeared in court remotely. Speaking to reporters after the hearing, Newell said the charges against the teen suspect were first-degree intentional homicide, first-degree sexual assault, and first-degree sexual assault with a child under age 13 resulting in great bodily harm. In Wisconsin, homicide defendants above the age of 10 years old can be tried in adult court, but the DA said it was premature to say whether that would be the case in this situation. His office separately told Fox News Digital the suspect had been charged as an adult, but the defense team has a process to challenge that and potentially have the case moved to juvenile court. The suspect's attorney did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Lily's remains were sent across state lines to the much larger jurisdiction of Ramsey County, Minnesota, which includes the city of St. Paul, where the autopsy was performed. Officials there said the results would be announced by authorities in her hometown. Chippewa County Coroner Ronald Patton did not immediately respond to requests for comment. For the suspect's bond hearing, the judge said cameras are not allowed in the courtroom for the proceedings at 1 p.m. CT. The unidentified juvenile suspect was expected to appear remotely. Lily's father reported her missing Sunday night after she failed to return home from her aunt's house, according to Chippewa Falls police. A search team found her remains the following morning nearby, in a suburban area flanked by Parkland and the famous Lane Incugels Brewery. On Tuesday, Chippewa Falls Police Chief Matthew Kelm said an unidentified juvenile suspect had been taken into custody. Dr. Michael Baden, a physician and forensic pathologist who formerly served as New York's chief medical examiner, said it was rare but not unusual to outsource an autopsy in a high-profile case to a better-equipped jurisdiction. St. Paul, an hour and 10 minutes to the west, has forensic pathologists on staff in its medical examiner's office, he said, while the Chippewa County Coroner's office does not. They sent it to St. Paul because they didn't feel that the coroner's office there was able to handle it, which is all right, better that they send it to a better place than do it themselves, he said. First and most importantly, earlier this evening we arrested a juvenile suspect in this case, he said. The suspect was not a stranger. The suspect was known to the victim. We do not believe there is any danger to the community at this time. Police also served a search warrant at the Ent's home on North Grove Street. Kelm would not comment on whether the suspect was arrested at the same address or related to Lily during his news briefing. The chief declined to answer questions about the suspect's age and gender, but appeared to let a hint slip later in his briefing when asked where the suspect was being held. I'm not sure where the suspect is right now, but he is in custody, Kelm said. Police received more than 200 tips in the case, which Kelm said helped lead police to the suspect. Police had warned Monday following Lily's slaying there could still be an active danger to the public. They announced increased patrols around schools Tuesday morning and urged the community to maintain a state of vigilance as they hunted for a killer. With the suspect...
It's just crazy. All right, we're back on.
Yeah, she never paid a full. She pledged a total of $7 million to the Children's Charity Hospital or the Children's Hospital Los Angeles and the American Civil Liberties. So that comes to 3.5 each. And bro, you way behind on these payments that you pledged. And and the problem with that is that she said she had paid them, right? She made a statement saying that she. We're gonna have to find that.
All right, if you want to continue.
Move ahead, please. One, have you ever seen this document before?
Yes.
What is it?
Why did they love gummy bears?
This is a series of communications among people in our communications department around engaging Amber on our programmatic work, specifically relating to her being an ACLU ambassador.
Let's now turn back to the email starting on ACLU 47.
Johnny in the chat.
Bottom of the page from Gary Johnson to Jody Gottlieb and others,
Yeah.
purportedly dated November 6, 2018. Who's Jerry Johnson?
Jerry Johnson was a more junior person in our communications department. His title was Communications Department Strategist. And strategists are often communications department associates that have expertise in and do work in a select number of our issue areas.
Okay, he writes, I'd like your and Amber's thoughts on doing an op-ed in which she discusses the ways in which survivors of gender-based violence have been made less safe under the Trump administration and how people can take action. Why was the ACLU recommending that Amber write on that subject?
With Amber agreeing to be an ambassador and to work on women's rights issues and in particular issues of gender-based violence, Jerry was coming up with specific things that were of significant policy importance to the ACLU that could be the subject matter of an op-ed written by Amber.
Directing your attention a few lines down, he uses the acronym GBV. What does that mean?
Gender-based violence.
Then further down, he says, if she feels comfortable, she can interweave her personal story, saying how painful it is as a GBV survivor to witness these setbacks. What is the ACLU referring to when it talks about her personal story?
What that is? I never heard of that.
There were a number of things that Amber had expressed from her personal story about her having been a survivor of gender-based violence.
Oh.
And so one of the things that we do with ambassadors is we want them to tell authentic stories about our issues in the public, and to the extent that they have any personal direct experiences, for that to be part of their story for the public.
So the ACLU was not forcing her to relate her own experience with GBV. It was leaving it up to Ms. Heard's discretion, correct?
Correct.
And Exhibit 31 was prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, correct?
Correct.
And it was maintained in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, correct?
Correct.
Let's move to Exhibit 33, please. Mr. Doherty, asking you to please look at Exhibit 33 and ask whether you've ever seen this before.
I have.
See the email from Robin Schulman to Jessica Weitz dated November 14th at 10:58 a.m.?
Yes.
Who is Jessica Schulman?
Robin Schulman is a person in the communications department who is no longer with us, but who had expertise in issues involving gender issues.
Well, you anticipated my next question. Is Robin Schulman still at the ACLU?
No.
And is she an attorney?
I don't know whether she's an attorney. A number of our communications department staff members are, but I don't know. She wasn't working as an attorney.
Ms. Schulman is asking Ms. Weitz, what's the status of this situation? What situation was she referring to?
The situation is whether we are going to be doing an op-ed with Amber.
Okay, and moving up on the page, there's an email from Jerry Johnson who says, quote, Jess had drinks with Amber last night, and it sounds like she was able to confirm with her that we'll be doing the first draft.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
It is often a decision has to be made when we're working with ambassadors or with other people who are speaking to the public, who does the first draft of the document. So it sounds here that Jerry is saying that that from Jess's conversation with Amber, we are moving forward with some kind of an op-ed, and that ACLU communications department staff members would be writing the first draft of it.
And Jess refers to Jessica White's?
Yes.
Okay, let's please turn to Exhibit 35, please.
Kim Queen, thank you for the links in the email. Appreciate that. We can look at that at during lunch too.
Have you ever seen this document before, Mr. Doherty?
And yes, I have seen this document. Thanks, Michael. I didn't.
And what is it?
This is a series of communications about the, it's the result of a series of communications about the op-ed that Amber, under Amber's name, took place with a media outlet. And so this is Jessica White's sending a draft of that to Amber.
Great. And let's go to the first email first, the email that starts in the second half of ACLU 185. It purports to be from Robin Schulman to Jessica White's on November 29. Do you see that?
I do.
And is she attaching the first draft of the op-ed to that email?
Trump did it, right?
So I assumed that it was not an attachment, but it was just pasted into an email, but I can't tell from this. I don't see anybody saying attached. So it could be either. But what I see this as is Robin sending a note to Jess Weiss for Jess Weiss to then forward to Amber.
Understood. Robin says, I tried to gather your fire and rage and really interesting analysis and shape that into an op-ed form. What does that refer to?
That refers to the effort for our ACLU ambassadors to speak publicly in a way that is impactful, that is shows the importance of the issues and how important they are personally to individuals. And in this case, therefore, Amber's passion for working on gender-based violence issues and speaking about it, and that she has an analysis that is one that Robin finds interesting.
And so when she's referring to fire and rage, that's Ms. Hurd's fire and rage, correct?
Yeah, that's my read of this, even though I recognize that it is confusing because it's an email from Robin to Jess.
And the rage would be directed against Johnny Depp, who purportedly abused her, correct?
I didn't take it to mean that. I took it to mean fire and rage about gender-based violence issues.
Was it your understanding that it was Robin Schulman who prepared the first draft of the op-ed?
Yes.
Okay. And Robin says to Jessica, your lawyers should review this for the way I skirted around talking about your marriage. Whose lawyers is she referring to there?
I believe these are Amber's regular advisors or who were involved in the review negotiation of the NDA between Amber and Johnny Depp.
And then if you look at, direct your attention to the top email from Jessica White's to Amber Heard. She says to Amber, apologies for the delay, but we have needed to pass this through quite a few lawyers. What lawyers did Jessica White's pass the op-ed through?
These were lawyers in the Women's Rights Project of the ACLU, plus the director of the Center for Liberty, the deputy legal director of the ACLU who runs the Center for Liberty, within which is the Women's Rights Project, and even the legal director of the ACLU who runs the whole legal department, our programmatic litigation work on behalf of civil liberties, David Cole.
But it never got to your level, correct?
Well, David Cole is at my level, just to be clear. He also reports to the executive director, but it never got to me or anybody on my team.
No one asked you to review the first draft of the op-ed.
No.
Did anybody ever ask you to review any drafts of the op-ed, including the final draft that was published in the Washington Post?
No.
She says, I want to make sure nothing was said in here that puts you in jeopardy with your NDA. What does that refer to?
The non-disclosure agreement that was entered into between Depp and Heard in connection with the dissolution of their marriage and the settlement agreement.
Okay, and is this a document that was prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Was it kept in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
All right, let's move please to Exhibit 37. Have you ever seen Exhibit 37 before?
Yes.
What is it?
This is a draft of the op-ed that Robin is sending to Amber after a conversation that they had to discuss the issues in the op-ed, and in particular, to have a conversation about the op-ed. And then she sends her changes that were made to the op-ed that were relating to things that Robin and Amber discussed during that meeting.
And to be clear, this next draft of the op-ed reflects changes that Robin Schulman made after she met in person with Amber Heard. Is that correct?
Correct.
What did Ms. Schulman and Ms. Heard discuss during their in-person meeting?
My understanding is that they discussed some of the personal experiences that Amber Heard has had that Robin used to incorporate into the op-ed.
And isn't it true that Ms. Heard's advisors initially revised the draft to remove
Hey, if there's
any
Amber Heard
reference
supporters out there, they
to
can
Ms.
come
Heard's
too.
marriage or divorce?
They can come hang out.
Recall a number of email communications back and forth among ACLU personnel and Ms. Heard's attorneys, where they were suggesting edits to the op-ed relating to matters covered in the NDA.
And then isn't it also true that there were some at the ACLU who expressed their belief that excising those references to her marriage and divorce from Johnny Depp made the op-ed less impactful, correct?
It is correct. That is correct.
But ultimately, based on those voices, Ms. Heard pushed to get that excised material back into the op-ed so it could be more impactful. True?
That's not my understanding. My understanding is that the language that wound up in the final op-ed piece was very different from the original language that Robin included in the op-ed after having spoken with Amber about her personal experiences.
And how was it different?
It did not refer directly to Ms. Heard's relationship with Johnny Depp.
Okay, let's move ahead, please, to Exhibit 38.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
This is boring.
True, Jack. We need an Alejandro emoji. Saving you right now. Saving that comment you made. I think I have an area.
Mr. Doherty, have you ever seen this document before?
Yes.
And is this one of the documents you reviewed in preparation for your deposition?
Yes.
What does this relate to?
So this relates to Stacy Sullivan, who reported to Terry Tang, and her role with respect to this op-ed piece was to think about the best place to place it and to make the contacts with the media in order to get it placed.
And she suggests here that the outlets that the ACLU and Ms. Heard was considering were the New York Times, the Washington Post, Team Vogue, and USA Today. Is that correct?
So not Stacy, but Jerry, who I think you said she, Jerry is a he, and Jerry wrote some suggested places to place this after having had conversations with Amber.
And Jerry's suggestions were the New York Times, Washington Post, Team Vogue, or USA Today. Is that correct?
Correct.
Whose responsibility was to place the op-ed? Was it the ACLU's, Ms. Heard's, or some combination of the two?
The work to place the op-ed was taken on by the ACLU in that we have in our communications department people with expertise and who regularly do just that kind of work. But as we can see from this email, it was done in consultation with Amber Heard.
And Mr. Johnson writes, since the draft turned out pretty strong and Aquaman slated to do large numbers, I'm wondering what you think about it. What does she mean by saying the draft turned out pretty strong?
This appears to be the analysis of how broad-based and how what kind of reach the media outlets where we can place this will have, and that media outlets are more likely to take on publishing an op-ed like this if it is a strong one, and if it is. And to the extent that it is written by a public a person who's an entertainer or a well-known person, that the more they are in the public eye at the time, the more likely it will be accepted by a more prominent or broader reach media outlet. And so that's the sort of descending media outlets are in descending terms in terms of descending, likelihood of, descending importance and reach, but greater likelihood from, for example, as we go down that list.
And Amber's referencing her own direct personal experience, and her marriage to Johnny Depp makes it a stronger product, correct?
I think that the Amber's contributions to the portion of the op-ed that talks about personal experiences is part of what informed the view that this was a strong op-ed, and the importance of the women's rights issues referred to in the op-ed, in that some of them were very timely women's rights issues before Congress.
And Ms. Heard had a co-starring role in Aquaman, correct?
I don't know whether she was a co-star, but I know that that was a film that she was in.
And didn't she tell the ACLU that she wanted the op-ed to come out just after Aquaman was released?
I do recall that there was a conversation about the optimal timing for the op-ed piece.
And as part of that conversation, Ms. Heard said in words or substance that she wanted the op-ed to come out soon after Aquaman, correct?
I believe that's correct.
Who did she relate that to?
I don't recall, although I believe that there's documents that we produced that can shed some light on that.
Is Exhibit 38 kept in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Was it prepared by people with knowledge and prepared in a contemporaneous manner?
Yes, it was.
Got a kitty upgrade.
And it was made in the
Feedback.
ordinary course of the ACLU's business. True?
True.
Okay. If we could move ahead, please, to Exhibit 41. This is another one of these. Well, it's not that long.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
See if I can get a. So that's Teabag 2K1. He does a really good job and hilarious. I love that kitty. We have another kitty too, but the other kitty, I think the one we have now that Teabag sent sits well like behind the screen, but we have this one's in the thumbnail. And this one was sent by Lizzie on Discord.
Mr. Doherty, have you ever seen this document before?
And I want to do a cup. What do you guys think?
What
I
is
need
it?
merch ideas. I need some help. Email me. Need to do something soon.
These are further communications
I want the kitty on a cup or something.
among employees, staff members in the development department regarding the placement of Amber's ad and the finalization of the op-ed piece. Not ad, I'm sorry, op-ed and the finalization of it.
Great. And if we could move ahead, please, to ACLU 257.
You think this guy actually plays that piano, or you think it's just there for show?
11th, continuing on to the next, or strike that. Let's go to the email on the last line, Jessica White's email.
I'd do a cup.
She says,
What's the timestamp? Because what's the timestamp on the email that you're referring to?
I'm sorry. This is December 11th email at 11:05 a.m.
Okay.
From Jessica Weeks.
Mega pint.
You see that? Okay. And she says, Amber sent back the op-ed with final edits from her legal team, which specifically neutered much of the copy regarding her marriage and the domestic.
All right, I'm going to show you Kelly during break. There are so many pictures where her body language, I'm going to go through this at lunch, but her body language screams, get me the fuck away from this man. I'm going to show you this. When I was looking for thumbnail pictures, I caught this. There are so many pictures where her body language screams, get me the fuck away from him, while he's all adoring into her. It's very interesting.
That Amber is about to receive an incredible amount of press and be in the public eye. So what better a time would it be than now to put out this op-ed so that it generates significant readership about our issues?
And Amber agreed with the ACLU on that point, correct?
I believe the answer is yes. Every step of the way we were making these decisions with Amber's PR representatives involved.
Okay, let's move back to an email in the middle of 257.
Okay.
And it is from Jessica Weeks, time-stamped 11:09 a.m. on December 11th, 2018.
Okay.
Robin, her lawyers omitted the below, but Amber would love to see a way to have that part in bold somehow put back in. Is there an artful way to do that? Otherwise, she is okay with the final. 2 years ago, I sought a temporary restraining order from my then husband. Ellipses was changed to 2 years ago after successfully acquiring a temporary restraining order, but still not cleared by her lawyers. Do you see that?
I do.
Is that consistent with your understanding about what Ms. Heard's desires were?
Yeah, I trust Jessica White's relationship with Amber so that when Jessica told Robin that that was something Amber wanted, I have no reason to think that that's not correct.
That's what we just read in that article.
And finally, let's look at the beginning. The first email, Exhibit 41, from Stacy Sullivan to Jessica Weeks, says, yes, and I need to read the latest version. And Robin told me Amber's lawyers took out some of the stuff that made it really powerful. So let me look to see if I think it's strong enough for top tier. What did she mean by top tier?
I think from Stacy's perspective, the more powerful a document is, the more likely it will go into a top tier news outlet such as the New York Times or the Washington Post, you know, that sort of descending tiering that was in Jerry Johnson's email.
Okay. And is Exhibit 41 kept in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Was it prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business by people having knowledge and done so contemporaneously?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Let's move ahead to 43.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
Okay.
I'm going to update it in a second.
Directing your attention to the first page in Exhibit 43, from Jessica Weeds to Sean Waltz. Who is Sean Walsh?
Sean Walsh at www.rconsulting.com. I don't know who that is. This is an email that includes in it people other than ACLU employees and ACLU consultants. So I'm assuming it's somebody relating to, one of Amber's representatives, but I don't know for sure.
Do you know who Eric George is?
George, BGR firm. Yes, Eric George was one of Amber's attorneys.
And she's announcing to the group that it's going to the Washington Post a triple exclamation points.
Correct.
Take it the ACLU was pleased that it was placed in the Washington Post.
Correct.
And I believe you testified earlier, but I just want to confirm that for the record, the ACLU took on the responsibility of attempting to place the op-ed, correct?
Correct.
And why the ACLU instead of Amber or her PR team?
Placing op-eds about matters such as this is the kind of thing that is the bread and butter for the ACLU. And so I don't recall if a conversation happened about whether her PR people or our PR people should be in the ones that do the work to place this, but it is fully consistent with how we do our work that we placed this one.
All right, let's go back to Exhibit 42, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
All right, so the kitty's coming in a little bit.
Have you ever seen this document before, Mr. Doherty?
I am familiar with this document.
Is this one of the documents you reviewed in preparation for this deposition today?
Yes.
Was it made in the ordinary course of ACLU's business by people having knowledge and doing so contemporaneously?
Correct, yes.
Was it maintained by the ACLU in the ordinary course of business?
Yes.
Would you please direct your attention, sir, to page Bates number 1181. In the middle of the page purports to be an email from Stacy Sullivan, Michael Larrabee, and others at the Washington, well, I'll just say Michael Larrabee. Who is Michael Larrabee?
Michael Larrabee appears to be a person who was a contact that Stacy Sullivan had at the Washington Post. And so she reached out to him first about placing the ad. And then because she received a bounce back out of office from Mike Larrabee, she sent her original request to Michael Duffy and Mark Laswell, also at Washington Post.
And what was the purpose of her sending them this email?
This was her attempt to get the op-ed placed.
And she writes, "Hey, Michael, wondering if we might interest you in a piece by Amber Heard, who, as you may recall, was beaten up during her brief marriage to Johnny Depp, on what the incoming Congress can do to help protect women in similar situations." Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you read it correctly.
All right, let's look, please. Let's turn to Exhibit 73.
Yes, sir. Stand by.
We're gonna watch some stuff during the lunch break too. That's kind of interesting. Before we take calls, it's like 2 or 3 short videos, I think, but it's interesting. And then we'll take some calls. And apparently, Amber was named Woman of the Year. What is it? 2017 GQ. She made a speech too. We're gonna take a look at that. Amber Heard gives an incredible speech when announced as Woman of the Year.
Doherty, have you ever seen this document before?
Yes.
Is this the online copy of the op-ed that the ACLU placed?
Yes.
Directing your attention to the title, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. Who came up with that title?
Based on my investigation, I'm not aware of I'm not aware that the ACLU had any role in writing the name of the op-ed piece. And my understanding of how op-ed pieces work is that it is the media, in this case, the Washington Post, would have drafted the name of the title of the op-ed and not the person who wrote the op-ed.
Did the Washington Post seek the ACLU's or Ms. Heard's approval of its title?
I believe the answer to that is no. There's nothing in the evidence that shows that they reached out to us to do that, and it is inconsistent with my understanding in that these news outlets do not usually ask for the permission of the author of the op-ed for when they come up with the title.
Hello, Mr. Doherty. Would you please, or would the technician please call up Exhibit 45?
Yes, sir. Stand by.
Mr. Doherty, have you ever seen plaintiff's Exhibit 45, which is Bates number ACLU 623?
Hold on, I'm just making it a little bigger. Okay, yes, I've seen this document.
And is this one of the documents you reviewed in preparation for your deposition?
That's correct.
And what is it?
This is an article that was in US Today and specifically ties Amber's statements in her op-ed piece to Johnny Depp.
And when Jessica White says so much for not mentioning JD, what did she mean?
I speculate that she was saying that there were significant efforts made by Amber's attorneys to take out the references to Johnny Depp and her marriage, and yet nonetheless, people made that connection.
And in particular, the reporter for the USA Today took her to be referring to Johnny Depp when she spoke of being the victim of domestic violence, correct?
Correct.
Was this document prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business contemporaneously by people having knowledge?
Yes, it was.
Was it maintained by the ACLU in the ordinary course of business?
Yes.
And would you please move ahead now to Exhibit 46?
Yes, sir. Stand by.
Mr. Doherty, have you ever seen Exhibit 46, which is ACLU Bates number 1287?
Yes.
What is it?
This is a statement by Robin Schulman saying that that the article that they're referring to basically, recasts everything that is said, but ties it to Johnny Depp.
So Ms. Schulman is agreeing with Mrs. White's characterization that the USA took Ms. Heard to be referring to her allegations of physical violence by Johnny Depp, correct?
Yes.
And she says it's kind of amazing that they just grabbed the entire op-ed and rewrote it using Johnny's name. Why was it amazing?
I don't know why she found it amazing.
Because that was consistent with your understanding. She was referring at least in part to Johnny Depp, correct?
Yeah, based on my review of prior drafts of the op-ed, I knew that there were that she was referring to Johnny Depp and her marriage.
Was Exhibit 46 prepared in the ordinary course of business by people having knowledge contemporaneously?
Yes.
Was it maintained in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Okay, let's move to Exhibit 59, please, which is Bates numbers ACLU 2614 through 2616.
Okay.
Have you ever seen this document before?
Scrolling to the beginning. Yes.
And what is it?
On Depo, huh?
This is a conversation among ACLU employees regarding what were the amounts contributed to the ACLU that were connected to our relationship with Ms. Heard.
And is this Exhibit 59 kept in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
And it was prepared contemporaneously by people with knowledge in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, correct?
Correct.
And looking at the chart on ACLU 2615, this is the same contributions chart that you testified about earlier from Salesforce, correct?
Correct.
And again, as in the prior exhibit, this chart or ledger does not reflect the $100,000 contribution from Johnny Depp in Amber Heard's name in August of 2016, correct?
Correct.
And you still can't account for why that wouldn't have been included.
We assume that there was an error made in not including that in Ms. Heard's account, where we keep the records of her in Salesforce. Although Anthony, as you see, then raised the very question, what about the $100,000?
And directing your attention to the first page in this exhibit, do you see the email from Mr. Romero to Mr. Moresco? Subject, a quick question. Mr. Romero asked, did Elon's other gifts come from Vanguard? To what does that refer?
My personal knowledge is that Anthony was just asking whether other gifts from Elon Musk had been issued from recommendations he made to Vanguard regarding his donor advised fund at Vanguard.
And Mr. Moresco then responds, one of them, yes. His $5 million gift in February 2017 was from Vanguard. Do you see that?
I see it.
And if you look at the next page, Vanguard was the same entity that made the soft credit contribution in Amber Heard's name to the tune of $500,000, correct?
Correct.
And he says, in any case, my understanding was that the $500,000 from Vanguard was recommended by EM. Do you see that?
Ooh.
Yes,
And EM stands for Elon Musk, correct?
correct.
I'm not sure. About to say.
And also in that email above that, Mr. Moresco states that
Which?
Mr. Musk's $1 million gift in May 2018 was from Fidelity. Do you see that?
Yes, he must have, either that means a separate donor advised fund he has at Fidelity, or from Fidelity, in direct investment accounts he has at Fidelity. I'm assuming the former, but I don't know.
And if you look at the next page in the Salesforce chart, the second payment credited to Ms. Heard for $350,000 as of December 11th, 2018, came from that same Fidelity, correct?
I don't know the answer to that question. I know that it came from a Fidelity donor advised fund, the $350,000, but I don't know if it is Elon Musk's donor advised fund at Fidelity.
Come on, man. You know.
But it could be.
Come on.
It could be.
Give me a break, man. You know.
Let's move, thank you, on
Get back for
to 61, please,
Man, that's crazy, man.
which is Bates number ACLU 1669 through 71. Directing your attention to the last email in this exhibit from Jill Sargent to Inga Sarda Sorensen and Tyler Richard. Who were Inga Sarda Sorensen and Tyler Richard?
Inga and Tyler are both senior communications department strategists in our communications department.
Okay. And Ms. Sargent from Reuters asked, I'm preparing some material while awaiting a verdict in the Johnny Depp libel trial in London and wanted to fact check Amber Heard's current previous links with the ACLU. Do you recall that Mr. Depp's that this is a reference to Mr. Depp's defamation case in the UK against the Sun?
It appears to me that that's the trial she's referring to.
Okay, directing your attention, please, to page number ACLU 1670, the email from Jessica Whites to Tyler Richards. Do you see where Ms. Whites writes, the answer is yes, she's still an ambassador. That's a reference to Ms. Heard still being an ACLU ambassador, correct?
Correct.
Then Ms. Whites writes, quote, she donated her full settlement to charity, 50% to the ACLU and 50% to another organization. That's a reference to Ms. Heard's representation that she donated the full amount of her divorce settlement from Johnny Depp to charity, correct?
Correct.
And that statement was not true. She had not donated the full amount of her settlement, $7 million, to the ACLU or the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, correct?
At the time that Jess Whites wrote this in July of 2020, Ms. Heard had not donated her full settlement to the ACLU, and I'm not aware of what she did to the other organization.
At the time Ms. Whites wrote that, the ACLU was still $2.2 million short, even if you credit Ms. Heard with the $100,000 that Johnny Depp gave to the ACLU, correct?
At the time that she wrote this, we had received the 1.3, so yes, 2.2 million of the full 3.5 million we had not received.
Was Exhibit 61 kept in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business?
Yes.
Was it prepared in the ordinary course of the business by people having knowledge contemporaneously?
Yes.
Okay, let's move to Exhibit 62, please. Have you seen this document before?
Elon Musk.
Yes.
What is it?
This is Jessica White's reaching out to the communications department in order to come up with a correct statement that we could make in response to the Reuters article. And she comes up with recommended language on this that she then wants to confirm with our development department. So she is doing diligence to ensure that anything we say to the media is going to be correct.
All right. Let's move ahead to Exhibit 63. Do you have that in front of you?
I'm just making it larger right now. It just arrived.
You ever seen this document before?
Yes.
Is anyone else getting the feeling that the ACLU only cares about money and nothing else? Because that's the feeling I'm getting.
Department junior person, Ava Lopez, and it all concerns what we can say to, what we should say to Reuters in response to their question about Amber and her contributions to the ACLU.
And this was prepared in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, correct?
Correct.
And it was prepared and maintained in the ordinary course of the ACLU's business, true?
True. Correct.
Let's look at the second page of the exhibit, an email from Tyler Richard to Jessica Whites. Mm-hmm. Who is Tyler Richard?
It's Richard Tyler, and it's Tyler Richard. That's right, Tyler Richard, and he is a senior person in our communications department.
And Mr. Richard says, Amber Heard is an ACLU ambassador for women's rights since 2018. She also pledged her full settlement to charity. Do you see that?
I do.
And Ms. White's responds, yeah, I think that's safer. I had nightmares about this last night. I'm very upset. Do you think this is okay? Why was Ms. White so upset about the characterization of Ms. Heard's charitable donations or lack thereof?
My understanding is that as a communications department professional, Jessica was concerned about these news articles that were appearing and what impact they would have on, how the ACLU and its work with Amber is seen.
She was concerned that the ACLU was not telling the truth about Amber's paying the $3.5 million, correct?
I don't see it that way. I see it as her doing everything she can in order to produce a correct statement to the press.
Wouldn't a correct statement to the press be that she's short $2.3 million?
As I testified earlier, that's not the kind of thing that we would ever say about a donor to the ACLU. Instead, we would, especially when it isn't the fact that there was any specific time period by which we were supposed to have received, any specific amount of money, considering that she didn't sign the pledge agreement, and therefore, there's an attempt so as an organization, we attempt to work with our donors who are having financial difficulties in order to receive, the funding from them that they want to give to us. So no, I don't see this. I don't know. We would, in that sort of scenario, we would never say she's short anything.
Okay, I just got to pause it for a second. What I see, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but what I see is they were willing to take a huge amount of money for their organization and smear Johnny Depp's name. And then one person got a light bulb in their head saying, should we really do this? Is the money really worth it? And they went ahead and did it anyway. And then when Amber didn't pay, then they were all fucked up. Now it was like, great. Now we got to worry about how we look. I don't even think this guy realizes what he's saying, and it's just like mind-blowing. It's like, wow, remind me never to donate to the ACLU ever. Holy shit. Let's just smear somebody's name because we're going to get a big financial payout. So basically, she paid them, or she allegedly was going to pay them to smear his name. And then it backfired when she didn't pay him. So how do you like that? How do you like her now, ACLU? Fucking morons. And if I'm mistaken and I got that wrong, let me know.
Directing your attention to the email at Bates number ACLU 1700 from Ms. White's to Mr. Richard, dated July 31. She says, I'm just stressed about her and the difficulties with all this. Who is her?
Assume that is Amber Heard.
Why was Ms. White stressed about Amber Heard?
Because this is a stressful thing to have these kinds of news reports out there, and in particular about an ACLU ambassador.
What kind of news reports are you referring to?
What I believe the Reuters article, from the Reuters article.
And what did the news article say that was distressing?
I think it was the tie between the attempts to make Ms. Heard look poorly in the press regarding her donations.
But did you talk to Ms. White in preparation for this deposition?
Yes, I did.
What did she tell you about the donations and how she was stressed about Ms. Heard?
Ms. White's didn't say anything specific about that.
You didn't ask her about why she said she was stressed about Amber Heard and the difficulties with all this?
I believed in reviewing the documents that I had an understanding of why this was a difficult situation for many people.
So the answer is you didn't ask her about that, did you?
I did not ask her that question.
I guess we'll have to. Did you ask her about the nightmares she had about Amber Heard and why she had what the substance of her nightmares were about Amber Heard?
No, I did not.
Your Honor, counsel for Ms. Heard is now taking over the questioning.
All right, thank you.
Exhibit number 1, this is page down 2866. It was introduced as well by counsel for Mr. Depp, but it's easier for me to just jump into this one. Do you recognize this document?
Yes.
It says here, Amber, I described your plan to donate $3.5 million to ACLU over the next 10 years, as you very much believe in what they are doing. Now, the way in which donate is used here, how would you interpret that?
I would say that at the very least, it is expressing an intention to make that donation
And it's,
by the term plan.
okay. And would you distinguish between donate and pledge given the reference to the next 10 years?
About Elon Musk's intention?
I would read this to mean that it isn't clear whether this is intended to be a pledge, a legally binding pledge to create a receivable. This is something that I would want to, what I would hope would be a legally binding pledge, but I wouldn't necessarily say that this was.
Right. And the term donate here, how would you interpret that based on the description you gave a little earlier?
I would take donate to mean contributions from Ms. Heard.
And what, if any, interpretation would you have that this also meant pledge?
So two things in response to your question. One is plan to donate. When I said it would come from Ms. Heard, I would think that would be either Ms. Heard directly or from a donor advised fund that she has set up and would recommend. But over the next 10 years makes me think that, donate could theoretically be a pledge, but that's something that we would want to attempt to confirm.
And just so I understand, what's the difference between donate and pledge in how you are interpreting this?
If this used the word pledge instead, I would have more assurance that this was intended to be a hard and fast promise that even could potentially be a legally binding promise.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as Defendant's Exhibit Number 2. Do you recognize this document? Page 2632.
I do recognize this document.
And what is your understanding of what this is?
That this is the cover letter to which the check for $100,000 was attached, which related to Johnny Depp's contribution to the ACLU in the name of Amber Heard.
Now, you've used the term binding a few times here in responding to these. What is your distinction with the words pledge and donate that relates specifically to binding?
A pledge is, if something is legally binding, it is a pledge, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody that uses the term pledge means something that's legally binding. Donate is a much, much broader term.
And donate can mean pledge?
Yeah, I think that the word donate can be used in connection with a pledge.
Do you have any understanding of what Amber Heard believed was a pledge versus a donation?
I don't know.
Did the ACLU have any reason to believe that Amber Heard would not pay the ACLU $3.5 million?
I think that everybody at the ACLU was hoping, the ACLU was hoping and expecting that the full $3.5 million would be paid to the ACLU. The fact that the pledge form wasn't signed cast some potential doubt on that. And then once Ms. Heard began having financial difficulties, we obviously recognized that might impact whether the full $3.5 million is paid or impact whether it's paid over a much longer period of time in some intermittent way.
Do you have any evidence to suggest that Amber Heard still does not intend to pay the ACLU the full $3.5 million that you paid?
I have based on my investigation, I'm not aware of any indication that Ms. Heard has decided to no longer pay additional amounts to the ACLU.
I'm going to ask you to bring up number 4, please. I'm going to ask you to take a look at this document, and it starts out on the bottom with Amber on October 17, 2016 to ARP. Who's that?
That's Anthony Romero's private email, Anthony Romero private.
All right, and she's telling him to go ahead and it's all right to cash Mr. Depp's check. Do you see that?
I do.
And then Mr. Romero responds to her, says, thank you for the response. We will cash the check. But that means you have, quote, overpaid for this year as you wired $350,000 and then the $100,000 from Mr. Depp. So you can keep track that where you are on the overall amounts. Do you see that?
I do.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as deposition.
Was she nodding her head?
Defendant's Exhibit Number 14, and it's base stamp ACLU 2588 through 89. This is, and I realize there was a version of this that Mr. Chu showed you, but this includes an email from Mr. Romero to Jonathan Moresco, and then Mr. Moresco to Mr. Romero with a copy to Mike Weir. And it says here, hi, Anthony, if you get a chance on Sunday, can you please check in with Amber on her next pledge payment? She has a balance of $2.55 million on her $350,000 10-year pledge. Below is a summary of her other payments. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. And so this has the $500,000 and the $350,000 and the $100,000 on it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that was September 28, 2018. I'm going to show you what has been marked as Defendant's Exhibit Number 15. It's base stamp 2595, and I'm going to make it larger. And if I can show you, we have an email from Mr. Romero saying, is there anything I can do to help facilitate pledge payment of 350,000. And it's dated November 27, 2018. Do you see that?
I do.
All right. And then Amber comes back on 11/29 and says, hang on, I'll be right with you. You see that?
Correct. Yeah, I see it.
Okay. And then the $350,000 payment came in on December 11, 2018, correct?
Correct.
All right. And that made a total of what, 1.3 million, we've decided, right? What was the total amount of the donations after the 12/11/2018 that were made towards Ms. Heard's $3.5 million pledge to ACLU?
1.3 million.
All right. Now, if Ms. Heard had just given 350,000 each year, what would the amount have been as of December 2018?
1,550,000. It would be 350,000, 350,000, 350,000. So that's 1,050,000.
Okay. And so she was effectively 250,000 ahead of that as of December 2018, correct?
Objection.
After Mr. Depp filed suit against Amber Heard on March 1, 2019, what, if any, payments did Ms. Heard make to the ACLU towards her $3.5 million pledge?
No additional payments.
No, this was also shown to you by Mr. Chu on one of his documents. It's ACLU document 3037, the 12/11/2018 $350,000 designation donation from Amber Heard Anonymous. Do you see that?
I do.
Now, the ACLU continues to recognize Amber Heard as an ambassador for the ACLU. Is that correct?
We do. She continues to be listed on our website.
May a donor deduct a donation before they actually make the payment to the ACLU?
No. Yeah, a deduction cannot be taken prior to when the deduction is made. A deduction is taken with respect to a tax year, so the deduction would have to be made within a tax year in order for it to be deducted that year.
Okay. Now, you also testified earlier about different sources of donations, and you said that someone can make a donation in honor to fulfill someone else's pledge. Do you recall that testimony?
A person can make a donor in honor of someone else. And when I said in honor of a person, I was more referring to, in memory of a person or in honor of, a new executive director of an organization. People make donations in honor of them. But a person certainly can make a gift and say that I would like to make this gift to the organization because I know that this other person has committed something to the organization and I'd like to pay that amount. A person can do that.
Now, was it your understanding with the letter from Mr. White that Mr. Depp was making a $100,000 payment on behalf of Amber Heard towards her $3.5 million pledge?
Yes, that gift from was in connection with the amounts that Amber had said that she wanted to contribute to the organization.
All right, and it's been your testimony, I think, that there was an error in not including that in your sales force. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, is it also your understanding that Elon Musk made the $500,000 payment towards Amber Heard's $3.5 million pledge?
Yes, we don't know that with absolute certainty, but that is our organization's understanding.
Okay. And you credited it towards Ms. Heard's pledge, correct?
Yes.
Man, bro.
Does it matter to the ACLU where it comes from if it's tagged and said it's as part of this person's pledge?
We are always happy to receive funds from donors, and if a donor is unable to make a contribution of an amount that they said they intended to make, if they're able to have someone else make a contribution to the organization, that's completely fine by us.
it's still more money to ACLU, correct?
Correct.
And it's towards a pledge that you're hoping you can count on, correct?
Toward a pledge in the weak form of it, which is that somebody's making an intention. It would not be able to be satisfied in connection with a legally binding pledge.
Well, you did credit the $500,000 towards Amber Heard's pledge, correct?
Yes, we did.
And although you didn't initially credit the $100,000 payment by Mr. Depp towards her pledge, you agree that that should have been credited towards Amber Heard's pledge as well, correct?
Correct.
Now, we saw a document that Mr. Chu showed you a short while ago that indicated that Elon Musk made some other significant contributions, including $1 million and $5 million that were separate and apart from the $500,000, correct? Is that
Correct.
okay? Now, Mr. Chu asked you if the ACLU benefited from the fact that Amber Heard pledged or donated the $3.5 million. And I think your answer was that you benefit, whenever there's donations made and the publicity associated with it. What, if any, benefit would the ACLU have had if Amber Heard pledged or donated $1.3 million as opposed to $3.5 million?
If I understand your question correctly, I think that it is always a positive thing to report on donations made to the ACLU.
Mr. Dougherty, you testified to a number of documents about the op-ed and the back and forth with the attorneys and everything else. Are you aware of any evidence at any stage of the op-ed drafts through publication that Amber Heard did not rely?
Okay, so I learned a couple of things, which I'll get into when they break, but now I understand why it's important.
Under counsel's advice.
From what I know, Ms. Heard involved her attorneys and made changes to the op-ed based on the advice of her attorneys.
And so my question is, are you aware of any evidence that would suggest that Amber Heard did not rely on the advice of her attorneys?
Based on my investigation, I'm not aware of a situation where she did not rely on her attorneys.
Thank you. And I'm going to make a reference to their exhibit number 31. This is, it's just called Exhibit 31, and Mr. Chu put it down. Jerry Johnson was writing an email, and he listed a number of topics. Was it your understanding that the ACLU chose a number of those topics, of course, subject to Amber's approval, but it was their idea on some of these issues to address in the op-ed?
My understanding is that those were ACLU issues that Jerry Johnson came up with that might have been issues that could be covered in the op-ed.
All right. I assume for your next witness is a remote witness, correct? And I assume it'll take longer than 30 minutes. Is that a fair assumption?
Yes, that's right, Your Honor.
Yeah. Fair, right?
Yes, Your Honor. I think it'll take a little longer than 30 minutes, yeah.
All right. I think what I'd propose then, ladies and gentlemen, what I might have you do is take an extended lunch till 2:30 because I have an obligation at 2.
What's wrong with this judge?
Then that means, though, that we would go through till 5:30 tonight. Is that agreeable with everybody on the jury? Is that agreeable with everybody here? All right, let's go ahead and do that. Then let's go ahead and give you a lunch break until 2:30, okay? Just do not discuss the case and do not do any outside research, okay? Thank you.
So, it's an hour and a half. I don't know why I thought 2 hours. Yo, this judge already taken a week off in May. For those that don't know, she's already taken a week off in May. And I don't want to talk crap because who knows? God forbid it's some sort of somebody with an illness and then they're coming back for me and trying to cancel me. How could you? This person's dying. Blah, blah, blah.
Okay, I didn't hear the judge because what's he talking about? What happened with the judge? That's what I told him, Seashell. What happened with the judge? What'd they say about lunch? But I'm going to show you guys a couple things that I now understand. Hold on. So I didn't totally understand why the, hold on. I didn't totally understand why this was such a big deal. Okay. Oh, extended lunch. All right. So I didn't understand why this was such a big deal. So while that guy was on, I was looking into it. Johnny Depp has been fighting for this for over a year. It seems that there was, that this played a big part in him losing, that she was going to give this $7 million. And a lot of people believe that it's part of the reason he lost and she won, or that, you know, it was one, I should say. So she's married with 4 kids. I thought she was gay. Not that it matters, but I'm surprised. And so, yeah, so she ended up only giving $100,000. Johnny Depp knew this and had been fighting for this. The ACLU would not give any information, and they kept denying him. His lawyer filed 24 different filings in order to make it happen, and the judge ruled 23 of them were admissible. So that's why this was like such a big deal. But he's been fighting this for over a year. Children's Hospital in LA suggested they received only $100,000, way short of the promised $3.5 million gift. But yeah, he's been fighting it for a year. Which is crazy. It's a long time. But he wanted answers. His team is... Do you know how much money his lawyers are making? Even her lawyers. ACLU's argument, subpoena is improper as Mr. Depp could obtain the information from another source. And they just kept going and going and going, and the judge finally ruled in his favor. Oh, she was speaking at graduation. Okay. Crazy though, right? Yeah, it was filed on 5/10 of 2021. That's how long he's been trying to get this information. That's why it's important. It is all about money. And in the UK, part of it had to do with giving evidence in a witness statement dated February 26. Heard stated, I remained financially independent from him the whole time we were together, and the entire amount of my divorce settlement was donated to charity. I agree with that, Sarah. He'll be broke before she gets anything. Well, if he gets anything or she gets anything. Panel of judges said the new evidence wouldn't make any difference. However, refused his bid for an appeal, saddling him with an $840,000 in legal costs. That's what the UK cost him, $840,000 in legal. So yeah, this is kind of important, really. I didn't think it was that important at first. Yeah, she said in court that $7 million donation to prove that she had not been after Depp's fortune, which is a complete lie. Her donation of the $7 million to charity is hardly the act one would expect of a gold digger. And meanwhile, she never paid anything. So, it starts here. Let me explain something about body language to you guys. Body language means everything. You can see and find out so much about a person from their body language. If somebody has their hands folded or their hands crossed, it means that they are, protecting themselves. If you take a picture with somebody and you lean in, you're into that person. When you lean out, you're kind of staying away from that person. That's what I know about body language. Check out every single picture of the two of them. even in this one, you can see she's pulled back. Her head is tilted back, where he's leaned in. He's very into her. Here, a little iffy. She looks like kind of leaned into him, but almost like in a fake way. Okay, hold on. Let me show you, let me pull up some Google pics and you guys will see what I mean. Okay. Head is back. Kind of straight. Lean back. Lean back. Lean back. Lean back. Pulling back. Lean forward. Lean back. Back. Fake forward. Pulled back. You see what I'm saying? I noticed this when I was looking for a thumbnail. That every single picture, her body language is like, get me away from him. Even when they were first started dating. Again, she's pulled back. Yeah, he's not 6 feet tall. I'm telling you, he's like 5'7". Her head is leaning, her body is not. Pulled back. You see what I'm saying? He's into him and she's pulled back. But you can tell she's like disgusted by him. How tall is she? You figure her heels are probably 4 or 5 inches. Like every single picture, she's pulled back. He's pulled in, she's pulled back. But it's like he keeps leaning into her. Oh, it says she's 5'7"? I don't know. I just know I met him and he was shorter than me and I was 5'10". But you see what I'm saying? Every single picture, she pulls away. Yeah, a lot of actors are short. This from 2016. The War on Terrier scandal. Do you guys know what this is? I haven't heard of this. I don't know why it's running so slow. Oh, it's gone now. She pled guilty to something. She was prosecuted by Department of Agriculture. She probably intentionally did all this pose. People like us would analyze them and see her pull away and build her abuse claim. That's possible. That's definitely possible. What did she do with dogs? She was a dog abuser? Okay, she was smuggling teacup Yorkshire Terriers into the country on a private jet while Depp was in Australia filming a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Interesting. She was a dog thief. Did you guys know this? I didn't know this. Her dad funded and ran dog fights, the ones where they fight to death. Well, this wasn't that. Wow. That's crazy. Save the dogs. That's insane. Placed Heard on $1,000 good behavior bond. No conviction was recorded. Heard must be of good behavior for a period of 1 month or risk paying $1,000 fine. The bond applies only to any offenses that would be committed under Australian jurisdiction. Very interesting. So she tried to steal dogs. Okay, she faced trial on 3 charges while allegedly sneaking Yorkshire Terriers, pistol and boot into the country last May while Depp was on the Gold Coast filming Pirates of the Caribbean. She pleaded guilty today to producing a false passenger card. 2 charges of illegally importing animals have been dismissed. Why didn't she just buy the dogs? Can you not buy dogs in Australia and bring them home? She had to plead guilty. The count of producing a false document if other charges were dropped back in November last year. Mr. Kirk said he had said nothing to gain from ticking no on the animal questionnaire, as it had been seen a world of pain would be opened up if indeed it had been. They were her dogs. They couldn't have been her dogs. He said she wrongly believed the pets had their own immigration documents. Sounds like she wanted to steal the dogs. Yeah. Her 29 is accused of sneaking Yorkshire Terrier's pistol and boot into the country last May. Oh, I see. It's alleged the pooches were not declared to customs officials on arrival. That's kind of dumb. So she brought her dogs to Australia and got in trouble because she didn't claim them in customs? Really? Flown on their private jet with them. They thought because she was AH and JD that usual customs did not apply to her. I didn't know you had to claim. I wouldn't know you have to claim your dogs. I would have no idea you have to claim your dogs. Yes, that I do know, Candy. And if you look at the pictures with her ex, she's leaned into them. Like, she leans into her. I think she absolutely did not like men. I think she's a complete lesbian and married him to set him up, get his money, get his fame, and then go back to being a lesbian. That's what I think. That's my synopsis. Here they have to stay in quarantine for 6 weeks. No shit. I had no idea. Remind me not to fly to Australia with Fluffer. You have to declare them flying in, but they didn't, so it was viewed as they smuggled them, basically. Australian officials wanted the dogs taken from them. Yeah, I had no idea. 100 Laura from same opinion? What do you mean? What do you mean 100 Laura for same opinion? You give me a virtual 100 for same opinion? Scam. Yeah, she does scam a lot. She crazy. Yeah, I had no idea. Too bad US isn't that tough. Yeah, I think he's gonna win this. She's an asshole. She really is an asshole. Like, there's no two ways about it. Now, check this out. Hold on. Yeah, I guess she kind of, well, she does in some. But notice how she leans in. Notice she's all leaning in. Leans in. Leans in. Leans out. Leans out. Leans out. Leans in. Leans in. Leans out. Leans in. Out. Leans in. Out. I'm telling you, she's a straight up lesbian. She doesn't want to admit it for some reason, but her body language speaks it. Out. She wanted no part of him. She's totally the one where repulsed and grossed out by that man. Exactly. That was my whole point, Candy. Totally agree with that. That is my whole point. And that when I was looking for pictures for a thumbnail, that's what I caught. She is repulsed by him. And her body, look at it again here. She leans in. Leans out. Leans in, but it's fake. Look how far apart she is. And he's like leaned into her. Leans out. Leans out. Leans in. Leans out. Leans in. See the difference? When I was looking for a thumbnail, I caught it. I was like, every single picture, she is disgusted by him, even when they first started dating. But when it comes to her ex-wife, she's all over it. Crazy, right? Her ex looked like a female Johnny Depp. It's weird, though. She legit hated him. I wonder if the ex-wife is in on it. I do. I wonder if she was in on like this whole setup of Johnny Depp. Can you imagine if the ex-wife is in on it? See, she's all about the ex. Crazy, right? Out. Away. He's in, she's out. Pretty crazy though, right? Look at the difference. Just in body language alone. Well, not so much this one. But even her head. Look at the difference of how she is with her. How she is with him. That's a big difference. It is makeup. Yeah, I think she was openly in a relationship with her. But you see the difference in body language? It's crazy. Unreal. Later repulsed and grossed out by a man and forcing herself not to gag, to stay with him for money and to build his life for fame. Ding, 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 ding. Exactly. 150% dead on. Yes, we're still roasting the turd. I'm actually going to get off in a minute. I got to take a shower. I might be back this afternoon. I don't know for sure. It all depends if I can get down Social Security. I got to find out if they're even open. I'm not even sure if they're open. So, but so far it's been boring as hell. Next week when she testifies, I won't miss anything, I promise. But I don't see this afternoon being that exciting. So, yeah. But I want to bring you guys that. And maybe I'll see you guys later. If not, I'll see you guys tomorrow. But tomorrow there is no trial, so we'll talk about something else. And that's it. Now watch it. Will get exciting when you're gone. I know, right? That's what happened the other day. I don't think it's been proven she had an affair, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't have the death certificate yet, so I don't think they can do anything yet. But I was told you want to get it started so you can get back pay when the death certificate does come in. Which, I was there the day we went to Iowa and the day it happened. And they told me I needed a death certificate. So, we'll see what happens. But I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful afternoon if I don't see you. And I'll see you guys later. When we got our survivor, oh, it was automatic? No, I was told I need to bring death certificate and everything else, which we don't have yet. But I was told get it started so he gets back pay when we do get it. But we'll see. Hopefully it is automatic, but I don't think it is. So I will see you guys later. Have a wonderful day and wish me luck.